Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. Today I used another stamp from the Paper Smooches Birthday Buddies set. So cute. And I used some watercolor paper. So first I'm going to black emboss onto my watercolor paper. And the reason I'm embossing is I usually do that when I'm going to be watercoloring just because it's easier to keep the color inside the image lines. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Inktense pencil. This is a deep blue, and I'm going to actually draw on the paper the darkest areas directly to the paper with my pencil. Then I'm going to take my aqua painter, make sure it's clean. I'm going to start in the blank area and move my way toward the color. And once you get a lot of color on the tip of your brush, if it's too much, you definitely want to wipe it off on the tissue, which is why I keep it handy. So I'm just going to kind of blend this blue out. And I created an extra wave line there. So whenever I need some blue, I'll go pull it from the dark areas that are already on the paper. Or as you'll see in just a minute here, I can also take my pencil and pick up a little bit more blue. So here I go, I've got my pencil. And all you really have to do is dab the aqua painter just very lightly on the tip of the pencil, and it'll pull up just enough ink for you to get started with. Now the difference between sometimes I use most of the time actually, I use the Nina Solar White cardstock for watercolor, and this time I'm using watercolor paper, but the difference I've noticed is that with the Nina cardstock, it absorbs the ink really, really fast. And so if you make a mistake, it's kind of hard to fix it and blend it out. So if you accidentally, if you color it in a little bit and then you get kind of a dark line there and then you pull your pen or your brush off the paper to go pull some more color, by the time you get back, it's already dry. So with this, it's a little bit more forgiving in how much time you take to blend something. So I wanted to add some color to the bottom here, but I wanted to make sure I didn't have a big blue splotch where I first put my pen down, so I started off to the side because I knew that was going to be covered up. And so here I just drew a very, very light line right on the edge of the ocean there, and that way I had some contrast. And then I blended it just a little bit with my aqua painter. Alright, I'm going to use the same technique on the body. And this is another pencil, I think it's called Oak. And as you can see, I'm just sort of outlining all the different elements of this guy, mostly on the left-hand side. So we know his little, I don't even know what that's called, his face is going to kind of hang over a little bit, and so you'll see a shadow there, and that's why I have the penciled lines underneath. And so same technique, I'm going to start in the white area and move my aqua painter off into the darkest areas of his body. And then as I get more color on my brush, I just wipe the color off on my tissue because it's much easier to add more color than it is to take it away. So that's your safe bet, is to just wipe your brush a lot. Now I'm showing this to you a little faster than real time, but not that much faster, just so you can see exactly how the colors are blended. Another thing to keep in mind, it's better to stop and don't do too much, because your eye kind of tends to want to blend it together. But when you take a step back, it actually looks good when there's white areas or almost white areas. So stop your blending a little bit earlier than you think you need to, and that's probably perfect. Alright, same thing, I have a different color here, and you'll notice that the color that I'm putting down on the paper, it's kind of like a dark greenish brown, but then when it becomes wet, it completely changes color and becomes much more yellow. And that's the one thing I found with these Inktense pencils, is you really cannot go by the color of the pencil, like the color that the pencil is labeled with, because it's really not necessarily what's going to come out. So I have a chart, and I think I put it on one of my blog posts one time. I took a picture of it, And on this chart I have colored in a square for every pencil I have, and then on the left side of the square it's the actual pencil to paper, and then on the right side I blended it out with some water so I could see what it would look like as a watercolor. And these pencils are very vibrant, they're bold, they have a lot of color, they're very rich in color, so you really don't need hardly any color on the paper, just a very light touch of the color, and once the water hits it, it becomes this great bold color. Anyway, so after I was done, I wanted a little bit more shading, and so I just picked up some color off the pencil. Now today I used my aqua painter, and I've used my paintbrushes in the past, and I talked a little bit about this on my blog post with this video, that I think I prefer the aqua painter. The fine tip on the aqua painter really lets me get into the little corners of detailed images and get the color exactly the way I want it, and I feel like I have a little bit more control with the aqua painter. Now this color, it's pretty much black, so again you want to be really careful about wiping off your brush as much as you can, because that black will really blend all together quickly. And then finally his party hat. Gosh, you can see how vibrant the color becomes once you hit the water with it. Okay, so now I've got this is a Sizzix circle die, or oval, I'm sorry, die, and I'm just gonna pop out the top area of some craft cardstock. It's actually crumb cake from Stampin' Up. And then I'm going to run through the Sizzix with this Cuttlebug die that I've had for, I don't know, like 10 years or something. Well, it's probably not that long, but it's really, really old. Probably a lot of you have it. I just thought it would look good with the water, kind of the bubbly sort of thing. And I've got this sentiment. It's also paper smooches, but it's a different stamp set. It's called Sentiment Sampler, and it has everything you need. I love it. Anyway, so I'm just going to mark my edges here, and I'm going to trim them off. And then I'm going to mark some holes and use my 1/16 inch hole punch, which is perfect for threading embroidery thread. And I've got this So Easy thread, which is really soft. I really like this brand. And it just fits perfectly in the holes. I'm going to thread them both. And I'm going to kind of hang it from the circle here, or the oval. I don't know why I keep calling it a circle. First I'm going to put my sentiment where I want it, so I know exactly where my thread's going to land. And I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back, and then I'm going to look at it from the front. And I kind of want it the two different pieces to separate. So it's pretty easy to do. Once that's done, I'm going to trim my excess. And now it's time to put my little beaver on. I'm just going to mark where it's going to be so I can trim it down a little bit. And I decided to put my dimensionals on the craft side. And I'm just going to lay it right down on there. And it's not crooked, I mean it's not straight, it's crooked. I'm just rearranging things a little bit, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to adhere that to a card. So this is my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch folded cardstock. Now I'm going to put dimensionals where the watercolor paper is not, since I raised that up already with dimensionals. And then I'm going to use some just tape runner for the watercolor paper. That way everything's at the same level. And I'm just going to adhere it. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.